What's going on, guys? The Iron King here for another Dragon Ball The Breakers video. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the best and the worst active skills in the game. And again, we're going to be doing a top 5 best and a top 5 worst. Now, this time around, we're going to do starting with the worst. So, at number 1, I have... Oh, actually... This move is so bad, it's like hidden underneath everything. Let me pull it up really quick. So if you don't know this item in the game, please do not purchase this. This is a purchasable device in the shop. This is the item radar. You might not know what the fuck this device does. You literally just throw this thing in the air and it just lets you know where the radar is. That's it. That's all it fucking does, guys. That's all it fucking does. And you can buy this in the shop with real Zenny. Don't. Never do this. I bought it for like the collectionist sake, but this ability is trash. I don't know if I've seen a single person use this throughout my entire time playing this game. Not a single one. Do not use this. I might have to use it just for the lols, but like, it is trash. And that's why it's number 1 for worst active skills in the game. And next up, unfortunately, we have the GOAT. The GOAT himself. The farmer and his till ability. Now, the reason why this is number 2 is because that's a lie. This fucking video above me, it's a lie. You do not get items that often. Now, of course, you can upgrade this ability, as you can see, and increase the item discovery rate and the cooldown time of it, but the cooldown is 60 seconds to potentially get shit. And I don't mean shit as in a bad item, I mean in actually fucking nothing. A puff of air. Like, nothing. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. Like, it's bad in that way. The fact that this was something that you earn getting with doing all 50 levels of the dragons here, it's just very unfortunate that the farmer's active skill is very, very trash, considering the fact that one of the other survivor skin abilities are the best, and I'll go over that later. So next up, we got another device as one of the worst. I'll go pull it up in a second. And that is the zip line device. And I'm on the active skills, my bad. The zip line device. So this is just a slower, shittier version of the grappling hook or the grappling device. It's just slower, and I guess the only notable thing that this ability does that doesn't make it like higher on the list is that it stays and other survivors can use it, which is nice. Occasionally, bro, I'm talking about like once every 50 games, I've seen a survivor use this and actually was useful for me. And it's just for a 60-second cooldown, for it taking so long for it to come out. But you're not going to be able to pop this and escape the raider with this ability. So that's why it's number 3 on the list. And for number 4, we have Majin Buu himself. Some of you probably already know what I'm talking about by just bringing it up. And that is Go-Go-Gum. Now, when you play Buu, this ability is fucking fantastic. This ability is great. It, puts the survivors in place, and you can hit them with a super attack afterwards. You can melee combo them. You can throw key blasts at them, whatever you want to do. You could just dip the fuck out and not even touch them, bro. But the reason why this ability sucks is that it has no tracking. If the raider just slightly veers to the left, to the right, up or down, this ability will miss, bro. And it's on a 60-second cooldown, my friends. So unless somebody is holding the raider in place, this ability is worthless. But if somebody is holding the raider in place anyway, what is even the purpose of Go-Go-Gum? So that's why it's number 4 on the list. Of course, it has its usefulness, so that's why it's not higher on the list. But it's really good in combination with other abilities. So say if you throw Krillin's Shoe, then you throw the Go-Go-Gum, and then you're like stun locking the raider, then this ability is good. But it needs the help of other survivors or other abilities to be useful. And that's why it's number 4 on the list. And for number 5, unfortunately, this is one of my favorite things about Dragon Ball. It's a very nostalgic piece of Dragon Ball for me. It's the Flying Nimbus. Now, the Flying Nimbus isn't... It is bad. Honestly, it is bad. And honestly, it could probably go up further on the list. And the reason why it's so bad is that it's fucking slow as sin, dude. It is so fucking slow. It does not serve the Nimbus justice. Like, Goku would be soaring on this shit. He would be fucking flying, dude, hitting like 250 miles per hour. Bro, you're going like 5 miles per hour on this. Like, I feel like you could go faster running, no like sprint speed, nothing, and just mashing roll and go faster than Nimbus, or just hop on a bike and you go faster. The Nimbus is bad, dude. Like, I guess it's better to, like, say if you want to get to a high place, you pop the Nimbus and you go up there, but at that point, just use a grappling hook. At that point, just fucking climb, dude. Just get off your ass and fucking climb, or just use the double jump or some shit. The Nimbus is bad, dude. I don't recommend it. You can't really make it faster by upgrading it. You can only decrease the cooldown. So unfortunately, the Flying Nimbus is 5th for the worst. Obviously not the worst, but one of them. And for honorable mentions, first up we have Change Camo. Now, some of you might be scratching your head as to why I've had it as an honorable mention as one of the worst. It's just because if you're fighting a competent Raider, this is not going to fool anybody. When I'm playing Raider, I destroy everything. I don't leave anything. So why the fuck would I just leave a random chair sitting out in the open? You know, just leave it alone. Of course, if you plant yourself by a table or something that looks legitimate, it might fool somebody. But the biggest perk about this ability is that it nullifies your ki. So basically, you can't be ki sensed for some time. But normally, I don't think you're really going to be able to predict the Raider using ki sense. So you're going to be popping it afterwards. And if the Raider comes into a cave with a singular fucking chair in it, I'm pretty sure he's going to shoot your ass. So yeah, that's why I put Change Camo as honorable mentions for the worst. And next up, we have Item Search. Now, is this ability practical? Yes. You're going to find items, you know, it'll highlight things for you. It's nice. But why would you use this instead of the Kaioken Rush? Why would you use this instead of 17's Barrier? Why would you use it instead of the Bulma Bike? There's so many things that you could use better than this, and that's why I put it on the honorable mentions as the worst. But it does do its job. The cooldown is low. It's not the worst fucking active skill in the game. And next up, very similarly, we have Listen. Basically does the same thing, but instead of fighting items, you're fighting other civilians and the Raider, but it only works when you're not moving for some reason. But the cooldown is absurdly low, only 20 seconds, and if you max it out, it would be 10. So with that in mind, it's honestly not that bad, but again, there's just so many better active skills to equip, so why would you use this over anything else? And last but not least, for honorable mentions, we have Fake Death. Now, Fake Death, in my opinion, is just a worse version of the Smoke Bomb. If you don't know what Fake Death does, fake your death, which is not really that helpful in like any situation. It can like slightly flinch the Raider if you use it on top of them, and the Raider is just going to shoot you right afterwards. So I don't know what the fucking point of it is. But the best thing about it is that it negates the Raider lock-on for a bit, which could be a bad thing or a good thing depending on how good the accuracy of the Raider you're fighting is. So yeah, that's the worst passives in the game. And now let's go over the best. Now, to no one's surprise, the best active skill, hands down, is Energy Field. Now, of course, you look at that cooldown, it is quite high. It is very high. I'm not going to deny that, but what's so strong about this ability is that it just completely negates damage across the board. So you can run, you can jump, you can shoot, you can be transformed, you can be doing a super attack, you can do anything in the game while this is active. And the reason why this is so good, because imagine you're in a scenario where you're on the super time machine and it's just this close to being activated. You don't have your your dragon chains, you're fucked. But if you have Energy Field and you're twiddling on the super time machine, the Raider comes to stop you, they get bounced off, the super time machine activates, and you win. Like the energy barrier, the Energy Field move is fucking delicious. It's really, really good. In combination with this move in particular, the Bulma Bike, or the capsule single wheel motorbike that nobody fucking calls. I call it the Bulma Bike. Now this move is fantastic. At lower Raider levels, you could fucking dust every Raider in the game. The only thing I would say that's bad about this is that I feel like you really need to equip the passive abilities that make the bike faster. Base, I feel like it doesn't cut it, so you do need to equip that passive. But you can dust raiders even at the higher levels. And if you use the energy field and the Bulma bike, the raider legit cannot do anything to catch you. And it's really fucking annoying on the raiders end, making this ability the second best. And honestly, arguably, I could even see people putting it number 1. Now for number 3, this actually might scratch some heads, but I feel like this is just a tried and true really good ability. And I've never unequipped this ability, never. The grappling device. The grappling device is very, very fucking good. It's very quick. It's very snappy. The only issue with it sometimes for me is that sometimes when you're aiming it, it's red and you're like, why the fuck is it red? I'm clearly aiming at something. It doesn't pop off. And that could be the difference between living and dying. But it was at a very low cooldown, but I think they increased it recently. I'm trying to see. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I just want to show you guys a visual. This is the grappling device. They actually had to nerf it because it was so good. I think it was originally on a 60-second cooldown. And the most unfortunate thing with the devices across the board is that you can't upgrade them. So being able to upgrade this would have been great, but unfortunately you cannot. But it's very good. It's very quick. And I believe when you're in the air, or if you jump off of a bounce pad, you'll move a lot faster when popping this ability off. And honestly, I've never unequipped this ability. It's one of the first ones you get in the game. I don't recommend you ever take this off. Keep using it, and I think it's the 3rd best active skill in the game. And moving on from here, we have the Kaioken Rush. Now, the Kaioken Rush is one of the abilities I recommended from the very beginning. It's just so good, dude. It's good for traversing. It's good in combat. It's good for knockback. It's just a very good ability. The only thing that sucks about it is that there is that startup, like as you're seeing here, and you could be shot during that. So of course, if you're using this ability to escape, you're gonna have to pop in energy field to, really get out of there successfully. And they did nerf it a little bit because you could use it in combination with the floating device. So you could pop this, pop the Kaioken, and you get a burst of speed. But unfortunately, they removed that burst of speed for some reason. So now you don't get that, and it kind of decreased Kaioken's usefulness a little bit, but it's still very, very, very good because it's, if the raider is on the super time machine, you don't have your dragon change, you don't have a stun, but if you have Kaioken, you land it on them, knocks them back, and it could be the difference between a win and a loss. Next up, we have the Charming Pose. So I am not a player that uses a whole load of stun abilities, so maybe another player would have like Krillin Shu and other abilities higher up on this list. But for me, I think Charming Pose is the best, and the reason why I have it higher than other moves like Solar Flare is because I find this ability to be more reliable on usage. With Solar Flare, like let me just show you guys Solar Flare in comparison. Actually, the reason why I can't show you is because I don't even have it equipped, so I'll be right back. Yeah, I don't even have it mastered. That's why I didn't find it in my my skills. So yeah, Solar Flare, the issue with it is that it takes longer to pop off, and I find that the stun isn't as long either. And I've gotten interrupted so much using Solar Flare, and I just found the Booty Wiggle, or the Charming Pose, as the game calls it, to be more reliable. But the big difference is a 60-second cooldown and a 30-second cooldown. So even though the Charming Pose is more reliable, you are kind of eating the big con, which is the cooldown time. So for honorable mentions, I have the Saiyan Pod Remote, and a lot of people might have this higher on their list. They might even have it as number 1. But the reason why I really dislike this ability is because the cooldown, man, that 150-second cooldown, I think it used to be 180 at one point. It's just not worth it for me, dude. It's just not worth it. It can be destroyed, but in the right hands with the, a smart player, it can be really, really good. If you know the raider is coming to your area and you pop this early enough, it's a free get out of dodge, right? It's a free get out of dodge every single time, and you can land wherever you like. And it's very, very good. It's the fastest ability in the game in terms of getting to point A to point B. There's no instant transmission yet, but if there was anything like that in this game, it's Saiyan Pod Remote. So that's why I thought it was worth mentioning for honorable mentions. And next up, we have Krillin Shu. Funnily enough, this ability actually is pretty good. I've seen a lot of people hit the raider with this and like hit him with another stun ability, and it's it's fairly good. It's only got a 30-second cooldown. I find it to be a little more reliable than Solar Flare. The only issue is that it does miss. It does miss, but when you land it, it's not bad. It's not bad. And I also have Solar Flare. Kind of explain why it belongs in honorable mentions as opposed to being in the top 5. It's just not consistent enough for me. The cooldown is great, of course, but in terms of it landing, that's just the reason why it's in honorable mentions. Next up, we have another device ability, actually. And it is the Smoke Bomb. And the Smoke Bomb was an ability that I actually used a lot in the game. And the reason why it was very helpful was because of the lock-on. And if you're level 4, actually, and you're trying to 1v1 a Raider, you pop the Smoke Bomb, you can land a couple super attacks, man, just because the Raider doesn't have, like, direct sight on you. And if you're, like, I don't know, teaming up on the Raider, you pop a Smoke Bomb, the Raider can't rely on lock-on. So I actually think it's a pretty slept-on ability. But, of course, there's just better super attacks in the game at this point. And next up, we have After Image. So After Image is an ability that might be higher on other people's lists. The reason why it's lower for me is just because it's not as good as Cells. For Cells, I kind of use it traversally, like when I'm the Raider, because it's very quick and you can like gain some distance with it. But for some reason, like the Survivor versions of these villain abilities are just really trash. The only time this ability is really good is not for escaping. It's not good for escaping at all. It's basically just good for getting out of a combo when you're getting, you know, melee combo by the Raider. So that's why it's honorable mention. And lastly, we have another device, and that is, I'll show you guys in a second. It is the Trap Device. So this is a pretty good ability. I saw a lot of people using this in the early stages of this game. You could put this on the Super Time Machine. It would stun the Raider for a decent amount of time. Only a 30-second cooldown. So it's pretty good. It's just that there's probably more reliable stuns in the game. But like for a free item in the game that you don't have to pull for, I mean, you have to buy with Zenny in the shop. Not bad. But yeah, guys, those are my top 5 active skills in the game for best and worst. Let me know in the comments below if you agree, if you disagree, if there are any that I was missing in both lists. Let me know. If you liked the video, make sure to like it up and subscribe for more Dragon Ball The Breakers content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Expect another video like this for every season pretty much, but this is just like a season wrap up for best and worst active skills. But again, catch you guys.